Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening. So, this is about the creepiest headline I ever did see. Everybody called it Pedophile Island. This is so creepy. It's on Yahoo, it's front page and center. And of whom we're talking about, it's Jeffrey Epstein. So, before I begin this video, I'd like to say these comments and these things that I'm saying out of this article um, or these things that I'm reading from this article are not something that I included in here. Anything else is that I mention outside of this article is just opinion um, based. And, in my opinion, seeing an article like this, front page and center, it's just very creepy. And what do you make of this? And so lately, this is the hottest thing in the news right now. It says everybody called it Pedophile Island. So when I see um, a headline like that for an article, a lot of suspicions were raised about this individual that type of activity was going on over there. And so that's what it says to me. And so there's, I guess, like a snippet of a video, but they're not really talking. They're just basically probably reiterating what is said in the article. And so they're showing you clips of the island and Epstein, how he transformed the island so that it could reflect what he was doing. And I guess this is one of the assault victims, um, sexually assaulted victims are women. And so residents of St. Thomas, I guess they had their suspicions. So he's a billionaire. He bought Little St. Thomas, St. James Thomas, more than 2 decades ago and began to transform it. So this is the pictures of what it looks like. And so this guy, he's like extremely wealthy. And you can see all of the island here. And so just taking a look at the clips of how big this island was, and this wow, this is a beautiful island. But when you read about the history of what was going on this island, it just takes away from the beauty of the island itself. It's like it's so creepy. And so this is Epstein. You're seeing photos of him, and you're seeing how this island was sitting off to itself. And they said many people worked for him. So you're seeing right here. So let me go into this. This is him in court right here. So I guess I'm beginning it with clips of, you get to see, you know, it looks like the inside of the island's estate. So you're seeing here, one of the victims said that she participated in an orgy. So I'm going to read into this now. So I guess this is something that's also associated with, I'm going to try to click off on that. So Charlotte Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands, or Charlotte Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands, Associated Press, asked about Jeffrey Epstein on St. Thomas, and rooms go quiet. So some people leave, and those who share stories speak in barely audible tones. So I suppose what I'm hearing is that people were afraid to talk about it, although their suspicions were raised. So there might have been reasons, but this guy, it says the 66-year-old billionaire bought Little St. Thomas, or Little St. James Island. I don't know why I keep saying St. Thomas, off the U.S. Caribbean, because I believe there is a St. Thomas. That's the reason why I keep saying it. But this man, he's 66 years old. He's a billionaire, and he bought this island, and it's off the U.S. Caribbean territory. more than 2 decades ago, and he began to transform this island, clearing the native vegetation, ringing the property with towering palm trees, and planting two massive U.S. flags on either end of it. When guides took scuba divers to sport near the island, security guards would walk to the water's edge. So he had security for his island to walk to the edge to, I guess, keep people from just going on the island. So it was off putting to residents of St. Thomas, okay, a lush tropical island east of Puerto Rico with winding roads through mountains dotted and dainty Danish colonial aerial homes. And then, when Epstein pleaded guilty in 2008 to soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution, his need for privacy began to appear more sinister. Everybody called it Pedophile Island. So, this is what it was labeled, said Kevin Goodrich, who is the St. Thomas, and he's from St. Thomas, and he operates the boat charters there. So, it's our dark corner. Okay. So there's a related video, what FBI says that they found in Jeffrey Epstein's home. So when you're under investigation with the FBI, they go searching through, they have a search warrant. So they search the estate. And so it says, what's inside the 77 million Manhattan mansion owned by Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, so many people who worked for Epstein told the Associated Press this week that they had signed long non-disclosure agreements and refused to talk. So one former employee who declined to be identified said Epstein once had 5 boats, including a large ferry, in which he transported up to 200 workers from St. Thomas to his island every day for construction work. So the man said that he saw a handful of young women when he was on Epstein's property, but he believed that they were older than 18 at the time. So when he was there, it was keep to yourself and do your thing. And the man recalled adding that Epstein paid very well. He paid well and would give away older machinery and surplus, including lumber, to his employees. So he was generous in that sense. Epstein built a stone mansion with cream-colored walls and a bright turquoise roof surrounded by several other structures, including the maids' quarters and a massive square-shaped white building on one end of the island. And so workers told each other it was a music room fitted with a grand piano and acoustic walls. Its gold dome flew off during a deadly 2017 hurricane season. So locals recall seeing Epstein's black helicopter flying back and forth from the tiny international airport of St. Thomas to his helipad on Little St. James Island, a roughly 75-acre retreat, a little over a mile, about 2 kilometers southeast of St. Thomas. So government documents and ledgers show that Little St. James Island was once known as Mingo Cay. In April of 1998, a company called LSJ LLC bought it for 7.95 million. So additional documents show that Epstein is the sole member of LSJ, with his signature reminiscent on an infinity loop. So Epstein's later he bought neighboring Great St. James Island, which once was popular with locals and tourists for its main attraction. It was called Christmas Cove, a place where you could hang out and order pizza and have it delivered by a boat. So he wasn't well received, recalled Spencer Consolvo, a St. Thomas native. So, when you come in and you buy a property and you're a billionaire and you kind of like you're off-putting, and you tell everybody, I'm going to have security and keep all of these other people out, and you're very secretive about things, it makes the natives feel some type of way about you. So I believe that's what this particular person was referring to, that he wasn't well received when he got there. So they probably had suspicions then. Earlier on, something in their gut might have been telling them this guy is not, you know, uh, somebody that we should, get involved with. So, St. Thomas native who runs a tourist shop near a large marina, people think he's too rich to be policed properly. So, there you go, right there. So, it's usually people who are really wealthy that come to these places and they buy up all the property, and it affects all of the people that live in that area, believe it or not. And so, it does it also shows how greedy people are and off-putting they are. So that's my opinion. According to the public record obtained by Associated Press, the island was once 3 million and owned by a woman who died in a chalet in Switzerland. The island had been divided into parcels and given to 3 people and was later sold to Epstein. So federal authorities consider the smaller of the 2 islands to be Epstein's primary residence in the U.S. And so a place where at least one alleged victim said, she said in a court affidavit that she participated in an orgy as well as she had sex with Epstein and other people. So she said she saw former U.S. President Bill Clinton on the island, but that she never saw him having sex with anyone. And a Clinton spokesman issued a statement saying that he never visited there. So a day after he pleaded not guilty in the New York courtroom to charges of sexually abusing dozens of underage girls, there was scant movement on the Caribbean island. So hurricane shutters covered the windows. Locals hadn't seen any lights at night, and a lone worker drove a bright blue golf cart around the property. So that's as much as that they've seen so far. But at a nearby office, the locals say Epstein owns in a seaside strip mall. A man in a t-shirt and sunglasses on his head opened the door. A crack shook his head vehemently, and when asked about Epstein, unlocked the door. So, in other words, it sounds as though that maybe he was somewhere nearby, but someone that looked like him appeared to be him. So he didn't want to talk, I guess, because of these current allegations that are made against him. So the firm Southern Trust Company Inc. hired Cecil Dijon, wife of a former government John Dijon, as its office manager, according to records with the U.S. Virgin Islands Economic Development Authority. So, meanwhile, Epstein's arrest also prompted the U.S. Virgin Islands representative in Congress, Stacey Piesket, to announce that she would give the money Epstein had donated to her campaigns to a charitable group. So now that Epstein has been arrested for a second time, locals say tourists are increasingly asking about his island when they visit St. Thomas now, since people know what's going on and they've been seeing in the social media and all over the place his picture. So a woman who did not want to be identified for fear of losing her job running a charter company said that she was elated when Epstein got arrested. Wow. But is now vexed at tourist curiosity, so saying that she reluctantly shares whispered details of his case to prying adults if children are around. So some of the fascination aggravates Vernon Morgan, a taxi driver and St. Thomas native. So people who are there, I guess now when people tourist those islands, that's like one of the things that they mention they're curious about and they want to probably go there. It's just like when people go to Hollywood and they're not from California and they're tourists from out of town. They go to Hollywood, they get on these buses and they wanna someone as a tour guide to show them all of the famous people who lived in the Hollywood area, and they've got different type of tour buses. Some are murder mystery tour buses, some are tour buses to see who lived in what house and their estate or who used to live where, or different tourist attraction sites. And so it's sort of similar, but this one is not fun for the people who are natives of this island. They say that's the fascination that people have. They want to know. There's curiosity building now. So it brought some kind of notoriety to the Virgin Islands. He said, we would much rather that than the Virgin Islands be seen in a different light. So the thing is that I guess now, since this is such a big thing, now it's probably bringing tourists as well, believe it or not, because with things like this, it makes people want to go and see what happened. You know, where is this island that they call Pedophile Island? So this is, of course, a different headline right here, but right on the front page of Yahoo, it's basically stating what I just put on my, trying to make this smaller, on my live. So it's just really creepy. Is that a word I should use? So this is the headline that is standing out among all right now, is this Epstein thing. It's just so freaking creepy that, you know, you got this beautiful island in the Virgin Islands, St. James, and you know, you have all these people that want to go now, not because of just the island, but because of this whole Epstein dilemma that is going on, and you know, this craziness. And now people want to dig more into the life of what was going on. Who are all these girls? Are there going to be more girls that are going to come forward now that one person was bold enough to come forward? And this whole thing about Bill Clinton being on the island, and his, I guess it's a publicist or a spokesperson for him, says that he said he was never there. But anybody that is attached to somebody, it's just like the R. Kelly situation. If you were friends with him, if you were caught in the same room, if you were on the same property and all these things happen, now they're going to look at you, they're going to question you. What are your dealings with this individual? Even if you didn't engage in the same activities, why are you at this island that was once known as Pedophile Island? And so this is really crazy. It just seems like this year, is it safe to say it is hitting the fan? Like all of the skeletons are falling out. I'm afraid that's not the only skeletons that we're going to hear about, but it's crazy. This right here. And what makes this even crazier is that this Epstein guy is supposedly was seen in photographs with Donald Trump, and that they were supposed to be somehow friends. That doesn't look great. And I saw an article a couple of days ago, and I think Donald Trump was saying, well, he kind of liked the girls, the young ones, the young types. And for him to be saying that, that doesn't look great, you know, in the position that he's sitting in right now. I mean, and with what's going on, you know, he's got his own things going on right now, investigations with the Mueller issue. It's just not a good look. It's a mess. I will say by far. Is that a safe opinion or assumption to make in all of this? This is a complete mess. So I believe this is a developing story and that more is to come. And this is not the only female that has come out. I believe uh, I believe there might be more that are going to come out at some point. Maybe they're getting geared up for it, because when one steps forward, then the others step forward. And I don't think this is a one woman show. It's just very creepy. Look at the title, y'all. Everybody called it Pedophile Island. You cannot get any creepier than that right there. That is just, that's scary. And to have all that money and to basically rig the house, have all your security and people working there and make them sign forms so that they can just be quiet. Hush up. If you see something, don't talk about it. I'll pay you money. Just keep your mouth shut. You take care of me and I'll take care of you. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. With that being said, wow, this is really, and it just seems like it's just growing. The story's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I don't think it's going to stop. It's going to get worse. With that being said, thanks for listening.